On this Uplevel Dairy Podcast, we're having a special conversation today, one that touches the heart of many as we celebrate 15 years of Dairy Cares of Wisconsin. And to do that, we welcome our special guest, Jim Ostrom. This episode is sponsored by Uplevel Dairy Podcast founding partner Adiseo, a global leader in nutrition solutions and premier provider of rumen-protected methionine for dairy producers who want to optimize milk production, capture more value from components, and maintain the health of their high-performing herds. So, Jim, many people know you as a dairyman and a businessman, but underneath all that business savvy, there's a little bit more to Jim. And that's something that I've gotten to see over the years, and that is a big heart for doing good things that help other people, and in a big way. And one of those ways that you do that is through an effort called Dairy Cares of Wisconsin. So could you just take a moment and explain, what is Dairy Cares?
Well, I think we should start with the beginning of Dairy Cares, which was just a simple group of friends getting together on a wonderful evening in the middle of summer. And we had Annette and I had a garden party for maybe a half a dozen to a dozen people. No fundraiser involved, just friends. And it was such a nice night. We have very elaborate landscape gardens on the property. And we thought, let's do a garden party for a good cause. And we reconvened our friends and we looked for what that good cause would be. And it was obvious to everybody that we should help children. And the group became very enthused. And so many things in my life that I've fought for have been extremely challenging and sometimes almost impossible. But Dairy Cares was easy. Everybody jumped on board. An entire industry has gotten behind it. Sponsors from all over the country have sent money to Dairy Cares of Wisconsin because it's a great cause, and that's helping children in Children's Wisconsin.
And when we talk about helping children through Children's Wisconsin, we're talking about state-of-the-art medical and care facilities rooted and housed right here within our state, and with satellite locations that also touch the local community. But that also doesn't limit the reach, because there are people from across the country that come here to Children's Wisconsin, formerly Children's Hospital,
right,
and they're seeking out the best in the business at providing care in times of need. So this reach is, even though we talk about it centered in Wisconsin and having a local impact, it's a lot bigger than that, isn't it, Jim?
It is, and it's a world-class organization. People come from all over the country to get help there. We have a business with about 600 employees, and I'm stunned by how many of our families in our company have been helped by the Children's Network. And it's because they have the best specialists. They have the best technology to help children. And we all know that when a child is in crisis, it's a serious crisis for everybody.
And in those times of need, that's when people seek out the best care they can. And how fortunate are we to be able to have that here in Wisconsin, but in a way, as we said, that stretches far beyond. And as you just mentioned, even within the constituents of employees of Milk Source, you've seen this impact. But over the years, your network of families in the community, in the dairy industry, who have been touched by Dairy Cares, it continues to expand. You've always said, Jim, everyone is one person away.
Yeah, 1 degree of separation from needing children's. And that's why it was such an obvious cause, because we all know somebody. It's whether it's a nephew or a child or a cousin or your friend's child. We all know somebody that needed children's and will need children's. And so it's such a great cause. And that's part of the reason why I think the entire dairy industry nationally has gotten behind this, because it has such a tangible benefit.
And when you really think about bringing this down to the people level and the stories and the connections that you've been able to make over 15 years of dedicating your time, but really opening up your home, opening up your heart to do good for this industry and beyond, there's no doubt that you have connected with some really compelling stories, the kind that just stick with you. And so I'm just curious for you, Jim, Is there any family or individual that really stands out that you've been able to get to know through Dairy Cares that has just stuck with you as your why for continuing over well over a decade now to opening up your heart and your home for this
There's
cause?
Peggy, there's dozens of those. But the one that sticks out in a very favorable way is a young man named Alex that came to Dairy Cares and gave a presentation to the group at age 7 or 8 and had everybody smiling and laughing. And he's thriving, but he had a serious open heart surgery years before that. And to see these young people with major life-threatening ailments thrive and succeed in life because of the care at Children's Hospital, it's really rewarding.
And our committee has been able to give opportunities for some of those kids to actually get up, as you said, and share those stories, share that impact, and to be able to see firsthand the little humans that they're becoming, that at some point in their youth, maybe in their infancy, there was something so challenging, as you said, a heart condition or something even more so, that could have held them back, that could have been a total game changer. But we get the opportunity every year to hear directly from these kids, but we also get to hear from their families too.
Yes, their parents.
Yeah, their parents too. And you think about that role of a parent in a time of need. Sometimes kids don't always understand the direness of a situation, but a parent does.
A parent does. A parent suffers tremendously during a very difficult time, and to hear their stories are really touching.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And as you just said, those difficult times for parents, those times of pain and fear and the unknown, and that's where we are able to make this connection with Children's Wisconsin, even when we have our annual celebration here at your home of bringing in those doctors, those medical professionals, and the people that have been impacted by the care provided in those times, those most trying times in some of their lives. And Jim, I know this one hits home for you because you and your family have been through some really tough things in the past few years. And I can't help but think that has only developed your why for continuing with this cause even more so. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you and your family have been through?
Sure. Annette, my wife, passed away 2.5 years ago from pancreatic cancer. And I can tell you firsthand, when that happens, all of your whys get challenged, every one of them, all your traditions, all the things that you think are important. And it takes some time to sort it out. And quite frankly, we're still sorting it out. And I think we will be for the next 20 years. But one of the things that became very obvious to me is how important it was to Annette for this event. Annette was always one that stood in the background. She would be standing on the other side of the camera and watching us talk about this, but she was always there to support, and she always connected so well with young people and the young people that needed children's. She was very passionate about it. She interviewed families and wrote stories about each family very painstakingly, and she just loved this event, and it's grown. So the first garden party for Dairy Cares that we had, maybe there was 30 or 40 people, and we're expecting about 500 people here this year. And the cause has grown. We're over $3.2 million raised so far. And I can tell you that nobody gets a paycheck. Everybody's doing this out of volunteerism. And we hope to raise this year $450,000. And there's a group of us that started, but there's an entire industry that's behind this. And that's kind of Annette's legacy, is that she was very understated. And this cause is understated because it's really a grassroots cause. It's not a foundation that uses a bunch of funds. It's a group of people that get together and raise money for children's.
And Jim, as you just reflect on that impact that Annette had, that was something I was so blessed to be able to see too. And that was, as you said, that it was that warmth behind the scenes. Right. It was the one-on-one connection that she developed and had such a natural gift for. And it came from a heart that just truly cared so, so very much. And that's part, as you said, of that legacy continuing on is just being able to continue the warmth, the welcoming, the celebration, and the care.
Right.
The true heart of care. And so, as you mentioned, Jim, your why has shifted over the years, especially these last couple. But what is it now? How has it changed for you?
For me, it's about doing some good. I mean, our industry has been very prosperous in the last 4, 5, 6 years. Our company has done very well over the last 30 years. There's certainly been some incredibly challenging times, as the dairy industry often throws us. But we are fully supportive of doing some good and providing some leadership. And I'm always completely humbled by the sponsors and the checks and the stories from people within the industry from far and wide that are behind this in a very quiet, subtle way. And Sherry, my assistant, just reported to me yesterday about all the new sponsors that are coming in this year that we haven't had in the past. And it's just people that are understanding the value of helping and the cause that we're helping.
Yeah, it's a cause that others believe in. But Jim, I'm going to relay that back to your leadership. And I know you said, and it is so true, that there are so many people. There are so many individuals that come together to make the annual garden party happen. And when we say grassroots, we're talking very grassroots. Like, our committee does everything from putting together the floral arrangements, putting up the tents, every little detail is a volunteer effort. But then there's also the incredible outpouring of support, as you said, from corporate partners and individuals that believe in what is happening here and the impact on families and children. But that is truly a result of what I believe is one of your greatest gifts that I've had the opportunity to witness firsthand over the years, in the last 10 years or so being part of this committee, is your visionary leadership. And a lot of people will see that at play with Milk Stars, right? And what you're doing in the business world. But I've gotten to see it come to life in a different sense. And that's within our committee of volunteers with Dairy Cares, of people that continue to show up, give their time, give their energy, make their connections, open their pockets to be able to just continue to outpour that support. And as I said, I really do believe that the glue behind that, it is your visionary leadership that takes what started, as you said, in with a lot of it with Annette and that beautiful heart she had to help, and then putting together your skill set to do something great. And so 15 years now.
15 years.
15 years, almost $4 million.
Yes.
So let's just take one moment to think about the milestones, because $4 million doesn't happen overnight. 15 years is a horizon of time. And when you think about what's transpired in that time, what are a couple of the milestones that are really special to you?
Well, I think the most memorable is the first Dairy Cares garden party, because we were hoping to raise $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000, and I think we raised $60,000. It was just stunning, the enthusiasm from a very small group of people. The event growing to sponsors from all over the country involved in the dairy industry. It's amazing to me the number of people and sponsors from outside of the dairy industry that really have no ties to the dairy industry that are involved, because they know it's a great cause. It's a great event. There's a lot of enthusiasm for it. Hitting $1 million in raising funds, I'd never would have dreamt that we could do that. And we're at 3.2, and we hope to push $4 million this year. And it's an example of how enthusiasm is contagious.
Enthusiasm is contagious, and it starts with the right people in leadership, the right people with their hearts in the right places. And this is your why. Jim. This is the heart of what drives Dairy Cares, are the people that show up and to be able to just step into what you've laid forward and see that bigger impact. And when we talk about that bigger impact, we've talked about the care that's provided through Children's Wisconsin, but to get really specific, there's actually a part of Children's Wisconsin that is named after Dairy Cares now.
Yes, there's a training facility or lab, so to speak, to train, let's say, folks in rural Wisconsin and in the countryside throughout the country to come and practice on computerized equipment to help them understand what could be happening in a crisis. And to have something named after us is a lot of fun.
So was that a milestone for you as well?
It certainly was. But for us, to me, it's about the enthusiasm we have towards this cause and to help children's. And I challenge our team members at work. I challenge the people I know to help in some way. It doesn't have to be Dairy Cares. For us, it is. It could be helping an elderly neighbor if that's where the help is needed, but it also could be sending a check to a good cause and sponsoring a great event that could help children. So it's all about helping it, no matter where your station in life is.
Talk about that for a moment, if you would. Talk about generosity and how that plays into culture at Milk Source, but your personal beliefs.
We try to practice cultural traits that are important to us. We call it the Milk Source Way. It sounds a little Big Brother, but you know what? I read them almost daily because we have a new one that comes out every day of the month. And my favorite is respect, because respect is so universal and so critical. So first, respect for yourself, respect for your fellow man, respect for your community, and respect for, in our case, animals, and our team members, and safety, and our facilities. And if you have this culture of respect, you're going to be fine. Everybody's going to be fine because we're going to look out for each other. And that's what we strive to do. And we're not perfect, but we certainly work towards that goal.
So that respect piece comes into play when you look out around you and kind of challenge yourself and your team to say, how can we help?
How can we help? That's right.
And on that note, when you think about how you've been able to help, how a committee of 40 plus people,
40 people,
a collection of how many businesses, how many sponsors now? Oh, what do you see when you look out at the future of this philanthropic effort that has been near and dear to your heart? Where do you see it going? What are your hopes and dreams?
I think our enthusiasm is strong and it's going to continue to grow. Quite frankly, I don't look at Dairy Cares as anything I did. I look at it as I'm a part of a team and part of a group of people that just love it. Some people love golf. I think our team loves Dairy Cares and loves the cause. And that's our culture. It's our Dairy Cares culture. And it's universal for everybody. And I'm struck at the event every year. The garden party's wonderful. 485 to 525 people. We dress up and we've got elaborate landscape gardens that are, really a great environment to have a party. But I'm always struck by the conversation. It isn't about the party. It is about helping children. And that's core to who we are, is we want to truly help. And that's the difference versus some other organizations.
Yeah. And so one of the ways that I see that come to life, Jim, when we have the party here at your home every year are the testimonial signage. And the most special moments for me personally are when I see a sign and I meet the child.
Right.
I see their picture of perhaps a situation where they were in a really tough spot, maybe as an infant. And then to get to see them as a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old. One that always sticks out in my mind, too, is a little boy named Troy. Troy. Oh, what a sweet little boy who has a sign that always is in the garden every year, but had a heart condition, and the valve was replaced with an actual piece of a cow's heart. And those are, those to me are the stories where when you get to make that full circle connection, that I think is what makes this entire cause really unique as well. You make the connection between those who have the belief and the support You make the connection from them to those who carry out the medical care through Children's Wisconsin, but it comes full circle when you see the result, and that result being a young child, a teenager, maybe even a young adult that has gone on. Annabelle Duquesne, another one, right?
Yeah.
Now a young adult that has gone on from being a child in a testimonial picture to now thriving in every aspect.
She's considering medicine.
And she's considering medicine.
As a college major.
Is that exciting and fulfilling for you too when you see that piece of the story?
It is. So, in Troy's case, it's heart surgery. It's the top of the pinnacle about stress, right? And he was here at the garden party, I don't know, 4 years ago, perhaps 5. And we have cows at our garden party. Why wouldn't you have cows at your garden party?
Right.
And he was climbing in and around this 1,200-pound Jersey cow like it was a jungle gym. And I'm gasping because I'm looking at this little boy running around. And that's how thriving he is because of Children's.
Yes.
Open heart surgery, new parts in his heart, and now climbing under a cow and giving me a heart attack because he's running around a cow. But it was great. Everything was fine. We got Troy away from climbing underneath the cow. But that's a wonderful story.
It is.
And there's other stories there's ailments that just can't be solved without the expertise of Children's. And it might be a modest autoimmune issue that a young person's having, and they can go to Children's and get some real help that solves the problem. And that's pretty cool.
And that's the state-of-the-art aspect that gets brought in. And I said, we have the really compelling experience when we were at your home for the garden party with 400, almost 500 people to celebrate, to get to see it all come full circle. And it's such a special event this year coming up on Saturday, typically the last Saturday in July.
July 26th.
July 26th. And Jim, my hope and intention with this conversation with you today is not just to help others see what's possible with a heart and vision and leadership, but truly to also invite others to be a part of something bigger than themselves and to join that cause. And so for someone that might be listening to our conversation today who is saying, I want to be a part of something bigger than myself that has an impact that's tangible in our community and beyond, what are some of the ways that they can get involved?
Dairy Cares of Wisconsin is on Facebook. There's a link for a silent auction that we have. There's sponsorship through Dairy Cares of Wisconsin, our website, participation in our event coming up on July 26th. Big or small, we want to have a culture of helping. And if you can help in a big way, help in a big way. But if you can help in a small way, we're truly grateful for it.
Yeah. And so that's as simple as pulling up in the palm of your hand the Dairy Cares of Wisconsin Facebook page, website, and that's where you can find access QR codes for the silent auction, which bidding opens up prior to our event, runs through the event. But okay, so we've talked about all the serious stuff, but if there's one thing that we haven't touched on, Jim, it is the fun aspect of that garden party and the live auction.
The live auction.
And we've had some good times, and you know what? Good times rallied around a good cause can have some pretty great results as well. Any of your fondest memories of things that have been auctioned off at that live auction here?
Well, so I think one of the funniest things I've seen with the auction is we have some people that have been around some registered cattle auctions where there's a lot of bravado. And we also have some doctors and lawyers from town who have never been to an auction like that. And when the ringmen sort of start cheering on a bid, everybody just starts giggling and laughing and has a lot of fun with it. It's a very festive atmosphere.
It sure is. And for those that are familiar with some of those characters in the business, like just this group of people that come from within our industry that have taken the cause and just been able to amplify it in a way that rallies this enthusiasm and excitement. And that's really triggered this higher level of commitment from the people that gather that day to do some really big things. And that's what we're shooting for again this year in 2025, correct?
We are. We're looking forward to it.
So what's the big goal this year, Jim? What's your hope and dream?
We'd like to raise $450,000. We have a nice start, but it takes there's a lot of white knuckle stress, good stress, coming up to it to make sure we hit that number.
So my ask then here is let's help Jim be less stressed.
Thank you.
And hit up Dairy Cares of Wisconsin on social media, through the website, dairycaresofwisconsin.org, and be able to contribute to something bigger than ourselves that has an impact. And when we talk about impact, I want to play back that word legacy, because when we're doing things that literally are saving and building a thriving generation of youth here in Wisconsin, that's legacy.
It is. Yeah. It's a great cause. We all have somebody in common that's being helped by children's. It's a cause that everybody can get behind, and it's really heartwarming to see the support from our dairy industry.
Absolutely. Well, Jim, thank you for sharing not just what Dairy Cares is, but truly the why behind it, the heart that's behind Dairy Cares as we celebrate 15 years.
15 years.
And a big goal of raising more than $4 million over this 15-year span. And that's all coming together in the next few weeks.
Thank you.
I want to invite you to rally around the cause of Dairy Cares of Wisconsin with 3 easy ways to give back and support families in their greatest times of medical need. 1, through corporate or individual donations. 2, participate in our virtual auction. Or 3, attend the annual garden party on July 26. Find details and donate here at www.dairycaresofwisconsin.org. This episode is sponsored by Uplevel Dairy Podcast founding partner Adiseo, a global leader in nutrition solutions and premier provider of rumen-protected methionine for dairy producers who want to optimize milk production, capture more value from components, and maintain the health of their high-performing herds.